Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Crowd Chatter podcast. Today is going to be the national sheesh. Today is going to be the National League May review of the MLB. So we'll start from the top. We have the NL East starting off. So let's just start there. We'll start with the New York Mets sitting at 37-19. Here's the other New York team having also a really good season. The New York teams have just absolutely been have just been terrorizing everyone. I mean, they have both been very good, and the Mets are having injury problems in terms of pitching. No Max Scherzer, no Jacob DeGrom. That's their best two guys. They're not getting either one of them back for a while, and they're still playing well. That's the big thing for the Mets. They don't have their best pitchers, and they're still playing well. And so that's the big thing for the Mets, and that's a surprising thing for them too. Um, so not really good start here for the Mets, and honestly, was not a great NL East. Next is the World Series defending champs, the Atlanta Braves, who once again this year had a very slow start, weren't playing well, but now have won five straight and have gotten themselves above 500. They're at 28-27. This is an Atlanta team that honestly has not been all that special. The pitching has kind of been okay. The pitching has been up and down, not like special really. Kenley Jansen has honestly been really good in terms of their closer, and Will Smith, their setup man, I think he's been up and down as well. But their pitching has kind of disappointed outside of the two bullpen guys, and the hitting has not necessarily been all that great. They've had a couple guys who've been pretty good. Of course, their replacement for Freddie Freeman, Matt Olson, was supposed to be a big contributing part to their team this year. He had a good start. Since then has been like okay. Ronald Acuna's back for the Braves, which they didn't have last year, and he's been okay. And that's the thing about the Braves. Everyone's just been okay. No one has been putting up numbers like the Braves did last year during their playoff run. So we'll see where the defending champs go, but it's gonna take some. It's gonna take some improvement for the Braves to have a good season and to continue to get better. But it's certainly a 5-game win streak here is a good start for Atlanta. Right behind them is the Philadelphia Phillies, who made a move of their own recently and sitting at 25-29. As the Philadelphia Phillies, they came into this season with expectations to be competing for the East. They're far below 500. They've won 4 games straight now, but they fired their manager, Joe Girardi, no longer the Phillies manager, as he has been sent out, and they have let him see the door. You know, Philadelphia though, this is a team that had heavy expectations. That has some good pitchers. That has some good offense. They have some good pieces and parts, and they definitely were expected to be way better than what they are right now. And they have not been that, and so their answer was it has to be Joe Girardi. So out goes Joe Girardi. We'll see where the Phillies can go without Joe Girardi out as the manager. It'll be interesting, but I think the Phillies maybe have a chance to move forward. But their offense is gonna have to, both time because they both sides have been good in like different times and different games. They've had, you'll see like the offense be really good, but the defense be really bad, and I kind of throw a pitcher in there too, or the defense is decent, but the offense isn't, and so it's a matter of just combining the two and getting them both to be just good at the same time. the pitching and the hitting. You know, there was that one game against the Mets where they were up by like 7 runs in the ninth inning and they somehow lost. So that's the kind of stuff that Philadelphia can't let happen. But definitely going to be big here for the Phillies. We'll see where they go, but it'll be interesting to see what happens with now no Joe Girardi. Miami Marlins staying behind the Philadelphia Phillies at 22-30. Um, this team is doing just what they did last year. They got that. They got a +7 run differential, but they're still a horrible team. It doesn't make sense to me, but there the Marlins are. And their big contributing pieces this year for them, Sandy Alcantara, or is it Alcantara? I think it's Alcantara. Sandy Alcantara has been an awesome starting pitcher for the Marlins. He has been unbelievable. And Jazz Chisholm on the offensive end for the Marlins has been very impressive. Lately, he has hit a bit of a nosedive and has very much come down to earth. But Jazz Chisholm have a ton of raw power, ton of speed, and has definitely shown a crud ton of potential. Very young guy, still a bright future. Definitely can make some noise to the Marlins. But this team still is quite a few pieces away from being able to compete. They're gonna need more than just Jazz Chisholm and Sandy Alcantara to be able to win championships. They're gonna need more than just those two guys. And then we have the Washington Nationals in last place at 21-30. I don't know why I can't see that 35. And this team's not good. It lacks really a lot of things. They don't really have great pitching, and their offense is kind of lacking. Guys like Victor Robles have not really. Their only two good hitters are Juan Soto and Nelson Cruz. The Nationals are expected to send away Nelson Cruz to somebody, and maybe even Juan Soto, who honestly Juan Soto has not been very good this year himself. He's been getting some walks, he's been getting on base, but he has not really been hitting the ball. So definitely not good for Washington, and it's going to take like an entire team to get Juan Soto, but I'm sure people will make offers, and we'll see if the Nationals bite, and they very well could. So next we have the NL Central, of which first we have the Milwaukee Brewers sitting at 33-23. This team is all about the pitching. This team has a crud ton of pitchers, and it is their pitching is really crazy. Because they have a devastating trio in pitching of Corbin Burnes, Brandon Woodruff, and Freddie Peralta. Not a big problem for the Brewers right now is two of those guys are on the IL, that being Woodruff and Peralta. They don't have either of them right now. They still have Burnes, I believe, but the other two are both on the IL, which is a killer for Milwaukee, which really mostly depends on their pitchers. And their offense is up and down. They've had Willie Adames hit the 10-day IL, which has been a big loss for them. Christian Yelich has been up and down, no consistency from him. They've had a couple other guys who have been up and down, not much consistency. You got Andrew McCutchen, who has been up and down. He's been okay. But this is a Milwaukee team that needs to find, their offense needs to find consistency, and they need to get healthy in terms of starting pitching. They're desperately going to need Freddie Peralta and Brandon Woodruff back. I think Peralta is supposed to be out for the majority of the season, which is a huge loss for them. I don't know how long Woodruff is supposed to be out, but it definitely for the Brewers, some improvement is definitely needed. But as of right now, they are still holding on to the division lead, but not by much, as the team behind them, the St. Louis Cardinals, is 32-23. is 32-23, only a half a game behind the Brewers. And so the Cardinals, this team, the St. Louis Cardinals had a really impressive run last year, where they won like what? I think it was 17 games straight to make it to the playoffs, because they weren't really competing for the playoffs, and then they won like 17 or 18 straight and then made it. I mean, incredible run by the Cardinals last year. And this year, I mean, this is honestly mostly the same team. I mean, they brought in Albert Pujols as their DH, really, bringing them back to the Cardinals. This will probably be his last year, so it's cool to see him go full circle, go back to where it all started. You got guys like Paul Goldschmidt and Nolan Arenado, who are really good hitters for the Cardinals. You got also Tyler O'Neill, Yadier Molina, and then their starting pitching is like very is butt kiss old. I mean, you got guys like Adam Wainwright. You got a guy like Adam Wainwright. You got a trio for the Cardinals and Albert Pujols, Adam Wainwright, and Yadier Molina, who are all probably going to retire after the year. This is a very very old St. Louis team. And that can end up being very good or very bad. If it ends up being like the Giants, it'll be incredible. But I don't think that's going to be the case for the Cardinals. But this is still a good team. They have good players. They have a nice mixture of veterans with some, younger guys. Maybe like, well, Nolan Arenado is not necessarily a young guy. I think he's like 32, but he's a younger guy. He's still a veteran. But this is a experienced team. That's what I'm trying to look for. They have an experienced team with a lot of good players. And having experience like that is very good. And you can see the run differential. Their offense has been putting up a lot of runs. They've been 7-3 in their last few games. This is a good St. Louis team. They'll be in the playoffs. This team will likely be in the playoffs. I would be surprised to see them not make it. But this is a good St. Louis Cardinals team. You're going to have to watch out for them. And in the NL Central, which only has Milwaukee, and them being obviously down with injuries, this is really very much up for this division's very much up for grabs and can definitely be taken by the Cardinals. Next we have the Pittsburgh Pirates, which I'm looking at their record, and I'm having a hard time figuring out how they have this record. 24-28 for the Pirates, which is really impressive because this team has literally nothing. And I mean literally nothing. This is not a good Pittsburgh team. But there's only 7 games behind Milwaukee with the second worst offense in Major League Baseball. Of course, the worst is the Tigers by like 35 more runs, but this is the second worst offense in Major League Baseball. And their run differential is minus 75. But they're still only 4 games below 500 with a minus 75 run differential. And they're 7-3 in their last 10 games. How does that make sense? But the Pirates, I don't know how they're 7-3 in their last 5 games would even have this kind of a record, but this is not a good team. And I really do not know how they would continue to succeed because they don't have anything. It doesn't make sense. They're about to play the Tigers, so they might end up winning 2 more games. But, this is not a good Pittsburgh team. I wouldn't expect much from them, but this is interesting to see them being at this record here. Very impressive, honestly, for them. Next up, you have the Chicago Cubs, whose run differential is much better than Pittsburgh's, but they're 2.5 games behind the Pirates. Weirdly enough. But they're 23-32, reverse of the Cardinals. And you can see they have a minus 13 run differential. The Cubs are not good, and that's not really much of a surprise. Everybody knew because they traded away, of course. They traded away Javi Baez, Anthony Rizzo, Craig Kimbrell, and even I think somebody else last year. Because they tore it all down. They traded away everything that they had and sent away really their entire team. And so really the only player for the Cubs now that's left that they could probably get something out of, maybe. Well, no, they'll get something out of him. They might get something out of Kyle Hendricks. I don't know. He's not been good, but he has been a good pitcher. So maybe somebody trades for him. But the guy they're going to get a crud ton of they're going to get a crud ton of players for is Wilson Contreras. He has been easily the best catcher in Major League Baseball so far this year. And he has not slowed down, and he has continued to get better. And he is already going to be a free agent next year. So it makes perfect sense for the Cubs to go and trade him. I think he's guaranteed to get traded after the season. But it's just a matter of where he goes. Because you definitely have a lot of teams who would love to have a catcher like him. Obviously, I don't think that the Dodgers certainly won't need him, but maybe the Padres. There's a lot of teams a lot of competing teams who would want a great catcher, and so we'll see which team bites and sends the Cubs some good prospects to go and get him. But I definitely think Wilson Contreras will be on the move at the trade deadline. We'll see where he ends up, though. Behind the Cubs, we have the Cincinnati Reds at 18-35. This team had a horrible start to the year when they were like 3-22. That was really crazy to see that. But now they're 18-35, and they still suck. But this is a Cincinnati team that definitely lost a lot. A lot of their players left in free agency. They didn't really have much left over, and so this was kind of looked as for a year for the Reds to that they were just going to basically bring up their prospects. And they have. They brought up guys like Hunter Green, and I think they brought up a big prospect in the field too. So this is definitely not a good year for the Reds. And they still have Luis Castillo, which he'll be on the move as well during this season, I'd think. I mean, he's been in trade discussions for the past few years now. But I think he's definitely going to be on the move, and we'll see where he ends up. But this is going to be the last year for him with Cincinnati, and they're going to be among the worst teams. Now we have the NL West, which is still overloaded. The last time I went over this, of course, was the beginning of May for an April review. And at that point, all of these teams were above 500. Of course, it's not the case anymore, but we're still going to go over them. The LA Dodgers sit at the top of the division at 35-19, obviously right there with the Yankees for the best team in baseball. The LA Dodgers have a outstanding team. I mean, they have outstanding pitching. They have what has historically been one of the best closers in baseball, and Craig Kimbrell, and he's been honestly pretty good. He's been solid for them. They even have, the Dodgers have a loaded hitting roster. You got Trea Turner, Justin Turner, Mookie Betts, who has just absolutely torn up everybody in his sights. Max Muncy. Cody Bellinger's obviously the big time question for the Dodgers. He's been up and down this year, but he's a good player too. Chris Taylor, Will Smith, This is a Dodgers team that has good players. They have a great team. They'll be competing for the World Series. They might even win the World Series this year. The Yankees obviously are right there for it too, but this is a good Dodgers team. And they'll definitely be in the mix for really the World Series. Right behind the Dodgers is a team who had really disappointed last year, but has definitely picked it up this year. The San Diego Padres. Padres, they were very much expected to be good last year. They did not play well last year. And now here they are this year. They've been a lot better. And they've had some prospects come up. Mackenzie Gore came up. You also had CJ Abrams come up. They don't have Fernando Tatis back yet. He is still injured. I don't think he's supposed to be back really till probably July. But this is a San Diego team that, even without Tatis, has been good. And CJ Abrams struggled. He got optioned back to AAA. But Mackenzie Gore came up from AAA, and he has been dynamite. He has been absolutely incredible. And being a big time prospect, being the big time prospect he is, he has absolutely done wonders for San Diego. And Mike Clevinger, he finally came back from his he finally came back from Tommy John surgery this year. He had a couple starts and he was actually pretty good in all of those until he had a tricep strain. He was out for a couple. He was out for about 2-3 weeks. Then the Padres brought him back, and they're trying to keep his workload low. They're gonna try and just slowly bring him back. But Clevinger is looking like a pretty good acquisition for San Diego, being from the getting him from Cleveland 2 years ago. But he's been looking good for San Diego. And they're only 2 games behind the Dodgers for the lead of this division. Their hitting has been honestly pretty good, even without Tatis. So San Diego definitely is looking good, and we'll see where the Padres go. But it's been a good start for them. Next up, we have the San Francisco Giants, sitting at 29-24, another team with playoff aspirations. And it's been a struggle bus in terms of pitching. Their pitching has not played well. Other than Carlos Rodon and there's another starter who's played well for the Giants. But other than Carlos Rodon, this team, and Carlos Rodon's even struggled lately. Other than Carlos Rodon, this team just has not really played well or this the pitching staff has not been good for the Giants. And it's been a struggle for San Francisco to try and get good pitching going. Their hitting has been honestly pretty good, but their pitching has not played well, and it is definitely hurting them. They're still in the playoffs, but they're gonna need their pitching to play better, and they need to create some separation between the other teams who are chasing them. Right now, they're the last team in the wild card. Of course, they extended to 3 teams this year, so the Padres are also in the wild card along with the Cardinals. But the Giants are going to need to be better, and they're going to need to pick it up fast. Their pitching needs to get better if they want to make it to the playoffs. Arizona Cardinals sitting at 26-29. Last year, they were by far the worst team in baseball. This year, they have been a lot better. They've had a couple guys who have been pretty good for them. They brought in big time prospect Alec Thomas, and he has had a honestly good start to the season. They have Zach Gallen, who, he always seems to be hurt, but so far he's been playing. He's been good. They have a nice 1-2 in the bullpen, and Ian Kennedy and Mark Melancon, who he hasn't been good, but he is a good closer, or good reliever and closer. But Arizona has been very much above expectations. This is a team that was expected to be pretty bad, and they were above 500 for a while. They're only 3 games below 500 still. This is a team that definitely can maybe get somewhere. They can get some more players. Maybe in a year or two, they can get some. I don't think they'll be competing for anything this year, but they're definitely looking better. And that's the thing for Arizona. They can get better. They can get some good players into that offense, infuse some talent into that team. Arizona definitely could do something. This year, they're not. I don't think they're going to be able to do it, but they're definitely trending in the right direction. Next, we have the Colorado Rockies sitting at 23 and 31, even behind Arizona. They're 12 games behind the LA Dodgers. The Colorado Rockies, we know this team is just the biggest gimmick in baseball. I mean, because they have Coors Field, which is a very gimmicky kind of field, and it's always evidenced by their road record, which shockingly actually is not the worst in baseball, as the Tigers are the worst on the road. But you see their home record and then their road record, and you see why they are. And here's the run differential. This team's not really that good to begin with, and their road struggles just make it even worse. And they're also even missing Chris Bryant, which was their big time free agent signing. He's been on the IL now twice because of a back injury, and he hasn't really been the greatest player when he was healthy. So it's really not been what Colorado was hoping. I don't think they were hoping for the playoffs because they are, they're out of their minds. But Colorado definitely has not looked like the team that people were probably hoping. They're probably hoping for more. They had a good start, but they've been honestly struggling as of late, and it's led them to this record being the worst in the NL West, which isn't really actually saying that much because of how good it is. But you don't want to be last in the division. So that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you want to see our latest video, click right over here. If you want to see our other MLB videos, click right here, subscribe, right in the middle here. That's all for me. Until next time, adios, everyone.